All right, so the spirit of Moses and Elijah are now present that James, John, and Peter can see. Right? And Moses representing the law, Elijah representing the prophets. Right? And again, Yahweh Shai in his transfiguration, in his divine nature, with those three witnessing, and the Lord, Yahweh's voice exalting Yahweh Shai over Moses and Elijah as the awaited Messiah with full divine authority, man. As the commentary reads. Right? So Yahweh Shai appearing symbolized the fulfillment of the Old Testament law and the prophetic promises, surpassing them, right, in authority and power. So it's like, people in the world and even in this walk amongst the brotherhood, people always tell us how to live and that they know the Lord personally. You know what I mean? It's far deeper than that. We work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. Right? We all got our own hells specifically designed for us. Let's keep reading. It says, verse 7. And there was a cloud that overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud saying, "This is my beloved son. Hear him." And suddenly, when they had looked round about, they saw no man any more, save Yahweh Shai only with themselves. And as they came down from the mountain, he charged them that they should tell no man what things they had seen till the Son of Man were risen from the dead. And they kept that saying with themselves, questioning one another what the rising from the dead should mean. So they, as Yahweh Shai is speaking and telling them these things about, for one, they just witnessed some magical shit. We just gonna just keep it plain. And Yahweh Shai told them not to say nothing. Right? He knew that they didn't understand these things at the time, but it's a reason for everything, man, and we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into the commentary because I love how they broke this down. Right? So let me see. He basically, let's see, here it is right here. It says he told them not to speak of what they saw until he was resurrected. Only then would they realize that only through dying could he show his power over death and authority to be king of all. They would not be powerful witnesses for him unless they grasped this truth. So they had to see that to understand that. Otherwise, they would have just. It's like it was a major puzzle piece missing in the whole grand scheme of things, in the whole picture. And I'm going to go to Luke, the 9th chapter, and I want to go into their commentary because, there's things relative, and it's just a different perspective from Luke, which is just more edification, But it was natural, man. It was natural for the disciples. They were in the flesh to be confused about the death and resurrection of Yahweh Shai because they couldn't see into the future, right? With all the power, that the Lord, they couldn't see into the future. But the difference with us is we have the Comforter, right? We have the scriptures. The Lord, He's given us the eye salve. We have been called, Lord willing. We're chosen. Right, he's given us different levels of understanding pertaining to different brothers, right? Different, different spiritual powers, if you will. Some brothers that got diverse tongues. Some brothers is eloquent speakers. You know what I mean? Some brothers have a deep understanding. Some brothers are blessed with counsel. Some brothers is deep in wisdom. It all depends on the body, all being beneficial to the body at the end of the day. But we had the Comforter. These things were written aforetime for our learning, right? Romans 15:4, roughly paraphrasing, to give us, right, assurance, right, the understanding of these things. What's that? Matthew, let me get that real quick. It's Matthew 13:11. And he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Salakia, verse 10, and the disciples came, I know better. And the disciples came, and he said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? And he said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whomsoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whomsoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he have. Right? So we were given the mysteries, Lord willing, we endure to the end, to understand these things. Therefore, there is no excuse that justifies unbelief. Lord willing, we are counted of that number. All right, so let's go to Luke 9, and I believe let's start at verse 27. We're just going, it's a few verses. I want to wrap it up soon. All right, it says, Luke 9:27, but I tell you of a truth, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the kingdom of the Most High. And it says, and it came to pass that about 8 days later, see, Mark 9 said 6 days, but like I said, that's minor. I just noticed that, I don't think it's something really worthy to get into. It's not really pertaining to salvation. It's just, just more like a fun fact, so take it as you take it, just take it with a grain of salt. Verse 28 again, continuing, it says, and he took Peter, John, and James, and went up into a mountain to pray. And as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered, and his raiment was white and glistering. So I like how they switched the wording up, It says in NLT, and as he was praying, the appearance of his face was transformed, and his clothes became dazzling white. And suddenly 2 men, Moses and Elijah, appeared and began talking with Yahushua. So imagine this, you have Yahushua praying, and then you just see his whole being just start changing. He just start elevating. Just start evolving into something that you just had to be there to witness, to be able to, words you couldn't describe what they seen, man. Words couldn't describe it. And then you just all of a sudden you see Moses and Elijah just pop out of nowhere, and they all just supping with each other. Right? Verse 31. Who appeared in glory and spake of his decease, which he should accomplish at Jerusalem. But Peter and they that were with him were heavy with sleep, and when they were awake, they saw his glory and the 2 men that stood with him. So they was asleep. They woke up. They was like, oh shit, what? They just waking up to something like that is even crazier. Verse 33, and it came to pass as they departed from him, Peter said unto Yahushua, Master, is it good for us to be here? Let us make 3 tabernacles or 3 tents, one for thee and for Moses and for Elijah, not knowing what he said. Basically, he just didn't know what else to say. He was so in awe. He was lost for words. Let's go into the commentary. And this is similar to what Mark 9 says. It says, for verse 27, it says, when Yahushua says someone not die without seeing the kingdom, it may have been referring to Peter, James, and John, who would witness the transfiguration 8 days later. All who would witness the resurrection and ascension. All who would take part in the spread of the church after the Pentecost. Yahushua listeners would not have to wait for another future Messiah. The kingdom was among them and would soon come in. So it's heavy, man. It's verse 29 and 30, commentary. Yahushua took Peter, James, and John to the top of the mountain and showed them who he really was. Not merely a great prophet, but God's own son. Moses representing the law and Elijah representing the prophets, appearing with Yahushua. Then the Most High's voice singled out Yahushua as the long-awaited Messiah who possessed divine authority. Yahushua would fulfill both the law and the prophets. It says, Yeah, let me just read this. I'll wrap it up. Verse 33. When Peter suggested making 3 shelters, he may have been thinking of the festival of shelters, where shelters were set up to commemorate the Exodus, Yahweh's deliverance of the Israelites from the slavery in Egypt. Peter wanted to keep Moses and Elijah with them, but this was not what the Most High wanted. It's not what Yahweh wanted. Peter's desire to build memorials for Yahweh Shai, Moses, and Elijah may also show his understanding that real faith is built on the 3 cornerstones: the law, the prophets, and Yahweh Shai. But Peter grew in his understanding, and eventually he would write Yahweh Shai as the cornerstone of the church. All right, and that's pretty much it, man. So that's the Transfiguration. It's a little commentary on it, little history, just a deeper dive into it's our history, man. Hey, so with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm gonna give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baharuchak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles that held as a great millstone of GMS, who teach and rule well, and peace and salutations to the whole 4 elect. Keep enduring Aki and Kwame Yasharala and Bahaba Bar. Shalom.